One final step away from Conference USA play for UCF on Saturday, and a significant step it was. The Knights traveled to Austin for a date with second-ranked Texas, and after putting up a valiant fight in the first half, ultimately lose to the Longhorns by the final score of 35-3. Hello, UCF fans. Welcome to another edition of UCF Sports Today with George O'Leary. The coach is here. I'm Pat Clark. We're happy that you're here as well. George, we have said ad nauseum on this program before, there's no such thing as moral victories, but the fact of the matter is, this was a scoreless game after the first period. Your team led in the game 3-0, trailed by only 11 points at halftime, and long after the game had been decided, your boys were still putting up the good fight.
Well, I thought they went out. We had some injuries, and we played everybody that was available to play. And I thought Rob Calabrese, filling in for Brett Hodges, went out and did really a good job as far as managing the game. And a lot of the problems he had was not his fault as much as some of the blocking breaking down. And then I thought Jonathan Davis, filling in for Brent Harvey, went out and really did a great job as far as trying to find some alleys in there. And for the first time start, I was pleased with both of them.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Jonathan and Rob as the half hour wears on. But you're right, George. Even before the game began, you were behind the eight ball. Tough enough to go into a place, a tough environment where you've got the second-ranked team in the nation playing in front of more than 100,000 fans. But you had a tough week where you had Brett, who was really banged up and showed yeoman's work in the victory against Marshall, and you had decisions to make. Brent Harvey got banged up as well, so these guys just weren't available for you on Saturday.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to play who's ever available to play. I treat every game like it's the last game, and I think anybody that could play did play.
What positives did you take away from this, George?
Well, I think we basically went out. The guys who got a first-time start, I was pleased with. I thought they went out and tried to take the game plan to the field and execute it. And I think the other thing was that I thought we showed spurts where if we do what we got to get done, we can make plays. And we just didn't make enough plays on offense at all. And again, credit Texas. I thought they had a step on us at times. And I thought defensively, they made plays. I think they have a Heisman candidate there for a reason.
Okay. UCF loses, but now it's back to Conference USA play. As we move on here today with UCF Sports Today with George O'Leary, we'll talk about the upcoming homecoming game against Houston, and we'll look back at the Texas game as well. It's all straight ahead, so stay right there.
UCF Sports Today with head coach George O'Leary is brought to you by Holler Classic, the official automotive group of the UCF Knights. Buy smart, be happy. Today's show is also presented in part by Budweiser, the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Open up a world of taste. By the energy-saving conservation programs of Tico People's Gas. Syntex Homes. For a better way to a better home, visit syntex.com.
The new UCF College of Medicine will help Florida get all the doctors it needs. But until then, be extra careful. UCF stands for opportunity.
ISP Sports is the exclusive worldwide marketer of UCF Athletics.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to UCF Sports Today with George O'Leary in the wake of UCF's loss at Texas, looking ahead to homecoming against Houston, a game that we'll preview a little bit later on in this program. George, you can't really help with scheduling. We've talked about this before as well, but this game against Texas was originally scheduled for September. Instead, it gets moved to November, all because of TV. You play the hand that is dealt to you, but I know you would have much preferred to have gotten this non-conference game out of the way much earlier in the season.
Well, you like to play all the non-conference games before your conference starts. I think once you start conference play, you like to continue playing conference play. But I think it was a great experience for the players. I think it was a class traditional program that really, they have a good football team, and obviously, we went out and we did some very good things out there, but we just gave up too many big plays, both sides, whether we gave up a big pressure or we gave up a big pass play. And you can't do that against good teams like that.
I don't know how you give up 470 quiet pass yards, but it seemed that way with regard to Colt McCoy. And you alluded already, George, he is a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate. You saw him a couple of years ago when Texas came here, when you inaugurated the new stadium here. How had you seen his maturity from then until now, and how do you prepare for a guy like Colt McCoy?
Well, I think what he's done is like most two-year-older players do. They mature, and I think he's very steady back there. I thought his offensive line afforded him great protection. Had, in fact, too many times we had too much time to throw that ball, and he's too good a player to get that done. And again, I think they basically had some guys catch it that, you know, and could get some yak after the catch. But, you know, he had a lot of throwing yards, and we were stingy at times, but on third down, you got to get off the field. That was the nemesis of the game defensively. I think they were 10 or 14 on third down. You can't do that.
You talk about maturity. You had Rob Calabrese, who we've already talked about, thrown into the fray. For the day, 10 of 19 for 76 yards. How would you evaluate his performance overall, Coach?
Well, I think he did a lot of it on his own. I didn't think he got much help. As far as the ones that, the latter part of the game, I thought he did a nice job. Earlier, I thought, you know, he was under duress a little bit. I thought he controlled the game well as far as with his feet and then trying to get some things done. But we just need more help out there as far as big play potential, as far as getting us a big play. You know, we had too many 3 yards, 4 yards, and you know you got to make some chunk plays against teams like that.
Okay, let's head on into some highlights from the first half. It was just a beautiful day for football out in Austin, Texas. And Coach, we talked about Jonathan Davis. Here's an 8-yard run, and here's the no quit in this young man, a true freshman.
Well, I tell you what, I think if you know he's going to be an outstanding player here eventually. I think he's still seen a lot of things, but I think he has all the drive and power that you're looking for.
There's your sophomore, Rob Calabrese. Ricky Kay has done such a great job all year catching the ball for you. This was an 11-yard pass to the outside, ultimately setting up a 39-yard field goal by Nick Catoy that gave UCF the lead in the second quarter, about the 13-minute mark of the second period. 3-0 was the score, and then this is a play to end the first half. Jarvis Gathers with one of his 2 sacks on the day, wraps up McCoy, and it's 14-3 at halftime. Your team very much in it, and in so many ways an impressive first half for you.
Well, it was. I think we gave up, you know, I think it was 4 plays and 80 yards, and 4 big plays, and 2 of them should have been plays that we should have made ourselves. But again, I went at halftime and said, fellas, look, here's where we're at. Went through offense and defense and special teams, and went out the second half to, you know, continue. We got to get more things done offensively and be a lot stingier in the passing game on defense. And, you know, credit Texas. They got some things done and we didn't.
Jonathan Davis came into this game having carried the ball only 4 times all season for you. He winds up rushing for 71 yards against a Texas team that gives up an average of just better than 50 yards rushing per game to an entire team. What does that tell you? It kind of tells me that we're going to be hearing a lot more from this kid before all is said and done.
I've said for a while that, you know, he has the potential to be a very, very good back. He has that lifting power when he hits people, and he has great. He's running 10-400 meters. So I mean, he has great speed also.
Well, let's talk about the defense a little bit, because we haven't mentioned that. Giving up just 67 rush yards to Texas all day. And this is a Texas team that averages about 156 yards per game. So what does that tell? It's not surprising to you, is it, at all?
No, not in the run game. You know, I'm a little, get back and look at the tape and see exactly what took place in the passing game. There's just too many easy throws out there, and we got to contest a lot more of those throws as far as coverage and tightness of coverage and transition of coverage. That ball's in the air, you should become a receiver. That's what I always tell DBs.
Well, talk a little bit about Corey Hope, because he had a big day for you, and I know that you know that. He had 12 total tackles, and 10 of them, George, were solo tackles for him.
Yeah, I thought Corey played like you want your linebackers to play, very aggressive, heading forward all the time, and he's been, you know, nothing but having a great year this year as far as, you know, being on the spot, understanding, making the signal calls, and you know, I can't say enough about him as far as just attacking the ball. He's done a great job.
All right, off to the second half we go. We mentioned that Jarvis Gathers had 2 sacks in the game. You saw one at the end of the first half, and here's another one wrapping up Colt McCoy on a 3rd and long, and this was on Texas' first drive of the second half. Blake Klingon, the UCF punter. We don't talk a whole lot about him here, but this is a big 50-yard punt that would pin Texas inside the 1-yard line. And George, he had a good day. Not only that punt, but a 70-yard punt as well.
Yeah, he had a great day. I thought he kept backing him up. Did a great job, Blake did. Yeah, you're right, we don't talk about it a lot, but this one time we should. He did a great job.
Exactly. Here's A.J. Guyton, who also had a nice day, 14-yard grab in the middle, breaks a tackle for a nice gain, and here's Guyton once again on an 11-yard catch on a 1st down to continue a late drive. And we're going to see Jonathan Davis one more time bouncing out to the right for a 10-yard gain to the Texas 4-yard line. Ultimately, the final score was 35-3. Back to the Klingon punt that was down on the 1-yard line.
Right.
It was a play or two later that it appeared that you tackled Texas in the end zone for a safety. The play was reviewed. Originally, it was not called a safety, but reviewed, and in every replay that we saw, the UCF fans saw on TV, it seemed clear that it was a safety, which could have changed the tenor of the entire game because the score was 21-3 at the time. Safety would have made it 21-5. You would have gotten the ball back. Instead, Texas keeps the ball and just a couple of plays later scores on an 88-yard pass play.
Oh, you know the sideline's the worst seat in the house, and it came from upstairs that he was tackled in the end zone. The ball was in the end zone. So I waited for it, and I finally called a timeout. That's when they went to the review of the play, and again, they decided it was not, and that's basically all you can do is do what we did.
Well, what's the due diligence with regard to referees on something like that? Why is it that you would have to call a timeout? Because that seemed to be a play that was very much in question. And if every play is reviewable, why aren't they stopping the game as they do so many times to review a critical play like that on their own without your help?
Well, that's why I waited and waited. And every play is reviewable. That's what we're told. And that's one that, when it's that close, you always review those things, and I thought they were. That's why I kept waiting and waiting for the buzzer. What happens is the referee will get a buzzer on and saying, hey, we're reviewing this play, but one that they want to stop play, and they weren't stopping plays. That's why I called a timeout.
All right, Coach, we're going to take another break. So much more to come here on UCF Sports Today with George O'Leary. What's it like to take a road trip with UCF? We're going to find that out and look ahead to this week's homecoming game against Texas, all straight ahead. So stay right there.
The Knights Kids Club, presented by Chick-fil-A, is an exciting new club just for kids 8th grade and under. Call 407-823-6165 or log on to ucfathletics.com to join now.
Snap to McCoy, who drops. He looks, he throws downfield. Man is open, passes, intercepted to the 14-yard line. Coming back near side of the 17. Interception for UCF. The Knights will get the turnover.
No, that was Josh Robinson with an interception, a name that you're going to be hearing a lot more of as well. His 3rd interception in as many games, Coach, and 4th in 5 games for you, another true freshman.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think, he had a tough day overall, but I think that's one play he did make, and again, he has a tremendous future ahead of him.
I think that when some people hear about UCF road trips and some of the great places that you get to go, they think, boy, this must be a real joyride for these players. Quite the opposite, right? This is a very strict schedule that you keep when you go on the road, Coach.
Oh, it's a business trip. It's amazing when we take some extra people on the trip, whether fans or something like that, that they understand what kind of trip it is. And before you said homecoming versus Texas.
I said I apologize because as you know, I rarely make mistakes on this program. But I did say going to the break that homecoming is against Texas. Well, they've already played Texas. It's against Houston. We'll talk about that game in just a minute. But we're talking about business trips for your team. When these kids come in here, they may not know what a trip is like. But as you're about to hear from some of the seniors on this UCF team, by time they mature into where they are now, they know every inch what a business trip is all about.
We'll leave on Friday morning. We'll go to the airport, we'll walk through Friday, fly over there, we'll fly to the stadium, to the opposing team stadium, walk around.
The biggest thing you have to focus on the road is, that you're there for a game. You're not there for a sightseeing tour or anything like that. When we're in the hotel, we're in the hotel to stay there.
The biggest thing we have to focus on is remembering that it's a business trip. We try to keep the noise down, try to focus on your responsibilities, try to get mental imagery of what you got to do the next day in the game, if it's the day before or the day of. The biggest thing is just staying focused. You have to be focused. It's easy to lose track of that.
There's a lot of distractions in an away game where it's flying or just going to a new environment, a different hotel.
When we're on the road, it's just us. And if we can depend on each other and know that each person can do their individual job, then that's when success comes.
Game day, we usually wake up maybe 8 or 9 o'clock. We eat breakfast. Depending on if it's an early game or a night game, we might eat 2 meals or we might eat 1 meal. We usually have a devotional service where our strength coach, Sinclair, gives us a motivational speech before the game. And
the most exciting part on playing the road to me is coming out at the very beginning and getting booed. For some reason, to me, that's a lot better than, it gets me going a lot more than being cheered or whatever. But when you're booed, they're all against you and it's kind of a challenge, and that's just something that as an athlete I like. Coach O'Leary expects us, to go out in the field and perform. He tries to give us a nice little pregame speech before each game, and most of them always deal with being accountable to each other.
He expects for us to be mentally and physically prepared for anything. We're in a hostile environment, so we have to be ready for anything, so that's what he expects from us.
We're going to win a football game. We're not going over there for a trip, a little like a field trip, or it's we're there to win a game, win a football game, and that's it.
1, 2, 3.
Coach, you always expect your players to be responsible, whether you're here or on the road, and you expect your seniors to be team leaders. I think based on what we saw in that piece right there, you're in pretty good shape with all of that.
We really are. I think our players handle trips very well, and it's funny to watch the young freshmen first time on a trip, especially the scout players who we take with us, and it's interesting to see them following everybody around, not knowing where to go.
Okay, cool stuff. And we got a big week coming up. It's homecoming against Houston, not Texas, even though Houston is from Texas. And we'll preview the game when we come back on UCF Sports Today with George O'Leary, so stay right there.
Be sure to visit Buffalo Wild Wings in Waterford Lakes every Thursday night from 7 to 8 p.m. during the season to hear the George O'Leary Radio call-in show.
Greatness doesn't care how early it is or how late. Greatness doesn't care if anyone's watching. Greatness doesn't care about your clothes, your hair, or your music. The only thing greatness cares about is getting an opportunity. Where will you get yours? At UCF, we believe no dream is too big and no goal out of reach. On the fields, the courts, and in the classrooms, UCF stands for opportunity.
Fans, here are your Run for Ronald totals for the season. UCF has had a total donation to the Ronald McDonald House of $5,248. McDonald's, I'm loving it. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to UCF Sports Today with George O'Leary. It's homecoming week at UCF. Houston coming into town for a noon date on Saturday. We'll talk about the Cougars in just a moment, but it is homecoming week, and I know, Coach, you get wrapped up in all of the festivities as well. You'll be at the reflecting pond on Friday for the Spirit Splash. I know that you mark that on your calendar every year because you very much look forward to that. It's not the culmination, but it's part of a week-long event calendar for UCF, the movie night and the skit night and the comedy night and the Spirit Splash. I know you like seeing all of the students out there on Friday.
You know, I go over there, you know, because I think it's the right thing to do, and I bring the captains with me, and they get a chance to say hello and all that, and I think the students really appreciate that. But, you know, our team is pretty much into business the week, and I don't know how much they get involved in homecoming, but I know everybody does look at homecoming as a great week, and it should be.
The parade on Saturday morning at 9:30, and then the kick at noon at Bright House Network Stadium against a Houston team that is very good, probably a top 10 team this week, having come off an incredible win on Saturday night over Tulsa, scoring late but failing to convert on the two-point conversion, leaving them 2 points down. They recover an onside kick. Case Keenum completes a couple of passes. They kick a 51-yard field goal at the buzzer, George, to win the football game using the foot of a kicker whose longest field goal all year had been 34 yards. So they've got a little luck going for them as well. But this is a good football team.
Very good, and we're looking forward to getting them at our house and a big conference game.
Talk a little bit about Case Keenum, because this is a guy who's putting up some big numbers. Against Tulsa, 40 of 60 for 522 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is a very potent Houston offensive attack. They had 695 yards of offense against Tulsa and more than 750 yards the previous week against Southern Miss. How are you going to prepare for them?
Well, our defense will have the work cut out from it. I tell you what Case does, he gets rid of the ball quickly, and I think he has very speedy, quick, you know, receivers that, you know, they don't throw the ball long downfield, but they're the 5-10 yard routes, and they gain a lot of yards with their legs after the catch. So, again, our defense will have the work cut out from. But, you know, I think the key to any time you play these kind of teams is your offense. Your offense got to move the ball and move the chains and make sure you shorten that field a little bit as far as what's taking place. But again, both sides of the ball are going to have to play hand in hand in this game, and it's a big conference game and one of the next 3 that we have.
And it's good that you were able to give a little convalescence to the Brent Harveys and the Brett Hodges of the world. That gives them an extra week, and you expect them to be close to 100% come Saturday?
Well, that's on the training room, but, you know, right now I'll visit with them today, the training room, and see exactly where everybody is from an injury standpoint.
All right, well, best of luck, Coach, on Saturday, okay?
Thank you.
Don't forget, folks, a whole week of homecoming activities out at UCF. The Spirit Splash on Friday, the parade Saturday morning at 9:30, and then the kick of the game against Houston, probably a top 10 team, coming up at noon on Saturday. We'll see you here next week, and until then, for the coach and everyone at UCF and ISP, I'm Pat Clark. So long, everybody.
UCF Sports Today with head coach George O'Leary is brought to you by Holler Classic, the official automotive group of the UCF Knights. Buy smart, be happy. Today's show was also presented in part by Bright House Networks. See how bright life can be. And Coca-Cola. Welcome to the Coke side of life.